Well, hey guys, I hope that you're doing well this week. Hey, I'm so excited. We are kicking off our regular life group schedule this Sunday. So, as you guys are preparing for the week, I hope you've gotten a chance to take a look at the curriculum. What I wanted to do is take just a couple of minutes to kind of walk you through this year's curriculum, whether you're a returning teacher or this is your first time serving. I want you to just know kind of what you are getting into, what your expectations are as a small group leader, how to approach the curriculum and use it to be the best leader that you can be. So what we are going to do is you are going to go to ministrygrid.lifeway.com. Now, hopefully by now, all of you have access to this curriculum. If you don't have an account on this website, if I'm talking about this and this is foreign to you, please contact me, and we want to make sure that you have a profile set up, because this is how we distribute all of our curriculum to our leaders. So you'll go to this website, and as you can see here, you will click your dashboard. Now, what your dashboard is, this is where you will see all of your upcoming lessons, and it's actually already calendared out so that there's a date associated with each lesson to make it really simple for you to always know what that week's lesson is and what you have coming up. So you can see right here for August 20th, this Sunday, we see this week's session titled Joshua Challenged the People. So we're going to click this, and whenever you click that page, it's going to bring up something that looks like this. Now, my page is going to look a little different than yours because I have access to a lot more aged curriculums than you will. Yours should have just a couple of things on there, but as you can see in this middle column, it is designated based upon the age group that curriculum is specifically tailored to. And so for you all that are watching this video, your curriculum is either going to say younger kids or older kids. And so if you were teaching kindergarten, first or second grade, you are going to have the younger kids curriculum. Whereas if you were doing third or fourth grade, yours will have the older kids. So make sure whenever you hop on, you check that. Some of you that taught last year, you might have had access to older kids, but now you need the younger kids. There's some slight changes that I think are important. So what you're going to do as you prepare for each week is you're going to make sure you have the right age group, and if you don't, once again, contact me. We'll sort that out. And then you are going to click the leader guide. And so if I'm doing older kids, as it says right here, I'm going to go over here and click the leader guide. Now, the leader guide is everything that you need to know to be prepared and to teach your lesson. As you can see, we have the title for this week's lesson, Joshua Challenged the People. And on this first page right here, there's actually a lot of key information that you need to know. There's 4 big things I want you guys to notice. First, we see the main text that we're going to be studying. In this case, it's Joshua 23 through 24. This is the main biblical story. And so whenever you see that, this is the passage that is going to cover the narrative that we're trying to teach our kids. Now, if you aren't familiar with the Gospel Project, the objective of this curriculum is to work through the entirety of the Bible from Genesis 1 all the way through Revelation 22 and enable the kids to see how this is one unified story and how every part of it from beginning to end points to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so what we are trying to do is we're not just wanting to teach kids individual Bible stories that tell them how they should act, but we are wanting to walk them through the Bible and see how all of these pieces are connected into this one grand story, and to see how all of it is ultimately calling them to put their hope, their faith, and their trust into Jesus Christ. And so, that being said, we are wanting to cover the specific story of each week, but we're also wanting to make sure that we are tying that story back into what they've already learned. And so, with each week, I think some review is really wise. As you can see right here, we are already in Unit 8 and Session 3. And so we've been doing this curriculum since the beginning of last year. It's almost a 3-year track that brings them through the whole Bible. So we're in the middle of the story right now. And so especially for this Sunday, because everyone's been gone for summer, I think it would be wise to help review the the big picture of the story. And I'm going to also send you guys a couple videos to help you do that. Just to let them know, okay, this is where we were, this is where we are, and this is kind of where we're going. So each week you'll see this is the main text. I don't expect you to read the entire text. Obviously this is 2 chapters, sometimes it's more. That's a lot to read to kids. Rather, what I'm wanting you to do is tell the story. You can pull verses if you want to, but I want them to know the story. And that's going to be covered in Kids Town. And I'm going to talk about it in just a few minutes about what's covered in Kids Town versus what's your responsibility. But next piece of information you see is the key passage. This is what you would probably know better as our memory verse. There is a new memory verse for each unit, and a unit typically lasts between 3 and 6 weeks. It varies depending on the book. With each unit you have a key passage or memory verse, which in this case is Psalm 77. You also have the next piece of information, the big picture question. Now these are really, they're just a simplified catechism, which is a question and answer that enables these children to memorize and learn key theological truths. And so we want to challenge our children to understand these core pieces of theology and doctrine that instill in them who God is, what is the truth according to the Christian religion, that they can be wise followers of Jesus that actually know what they believe and why they believe it. And so the one for this unit, as we can see, is what is a miracle? A miracle is something God does that usually cannot be done so that we can know He is all-powerful. So there's a lot of truth to be pulled out of that one phrase, but these question and answers is something that we want to absolutely drill in the minds of our children. And so I expect you guys to review the question and answer multiple times every single week that you meet. Finally, the fourth piece of information on this main page is what's called the Christ connection. And what this does is this is the little bridge that will help you take this story and connect it back to the gospel. We believe that every story points to Jesus, whether that's directly or indirectly, and that is absolutely true. And so this little Christ connection point helps you to bridge that gap in the minds of your students. And so this one, for example, it says, as Joshua prepared for his own death, he left behind a legacy of obedience to God. After Jesus' death and resurrection, he appeared to the disciples and left them with a legacy to obey him by making disciples of all nations. And so what it's doing is it's giving you segues to tie it back into the life and work of Jesus. So this is kind of the overview of everything that you need to know that you can get from the title page. Now to get into the actual nitty-gritty of what are you supposed to actually do with your kids whenever you sit down in the classroom. If you scroll through the curriculum, you see there are lots and lots of pages of stuff. And quite frankly, you don't have an hour and a half to work with your kids on everything. Here's what I want you to do. You are going to go and you are going to prioritize. If you scroll all the way down, there's multiple sections, 4 of them, and they're each color-coded. I want you to scroll down to the love section. This section is colored by the color yellow, and what it does is it reviews the biblical story and then offers some discussion questions to process the story to ensure that the kids understand it and begin kind of applying it to their life. So during Kids Town, the kids are going to spend that time, and during the skit, the actual story is going to be told. They're going to see it taught to them in person. So they should be coming into the classroom already knowledgeable of the biblical story, which your job is to quiz them and question them and cement the truth of that story and kind of the outline of that story into their minds, and also make sure they understand where it fits into the larger biblical story. And then, of course, as you do that, pulling out those truths and applying it to their lives. So that's your objective as a teacher. And so because of that, when you look at the curriculum, don't worry too much about the welcome. Sometimes there's some great starter questions in here. I think it's worth at least looking. There's some activities that are sometimes great, sometimes they're not. Really, it's just a matter of how much time do you want to spend on which things. Some of you, you can just be asking discussion questions the whole time. Others, you want to use an activity to help them learn the principles. I trust you all as leaders, otherwise you wouldn't be one. And so I want you to take some creative liberty and make the lesson your own. And as you get to know your kids better, to go the route that helps them best grasp the concepts. But with that, there's two caveats. The first is we're not here to entertain kids. And quite honestly, I don't really care how much fun they have in the classroom necessarily, or how great the craft might be, or anything like that, if it's just to be entertaining. I think every game you play or activity you do or craft you work on is only valuable if it furthers the child's understanding of the gospel truth. And so everything that you do, whether it's a game, activity, whatever, only spend time doing that if it is going to help them better understand the lesson. And if it's not, even if it's a really fun or creative activity or craft, it's not worth the time that we have, because our time is limited and we need to make the most of it. Second thing is I want you again to focus on teaching this content. And so if you look, there's going to be not only a welcome, but also the learn section. This section covers the Bible story. Again, 90% of this should be covered in Kidstown during the skit, but it does have a review, which is really valuable, and I would like you guys to implement. It has the big picture question, which is valuable, and I'd like you guys to implement. But as far as actually working through the entire story, if you feel like your kids have a grasp, don't spend all your time retelling the story, unless you need to. It also has a review of the Bible story down here, and I think that would be valuable and helpful. And then, of course, the Christ connection. So I will leave that up to you guys to kind of discern how much or how little of that you need to use. But that is there. But I said we're going to kind of be spending most of our time in this love application section. So that's your curriculum kind of from a bird's eye view. I hope that this is valuable for you guys. I'm excited to have you each leading. If you have any questions about what you're supposed to teach or what your responsibilities are, please let me know. Just a small note for some housekeeping stuff. First and foremost, I will not be there this Sunday. I'm going out of town on a mission trip to Moldova, but I will have my phone on me. So if you guys need to get in touch with me about anything at any point, please just shoot me a text, and I would love to get back to you. Second thing, make sure that you know where all of your rooms are. What's going to happen is at the end of Kidstown, one of the adults, probably Jackie, is going to dismiss the kids by grade. And so if you can stand up and let all of your kids find you and actually escort them to the classrooms where you can begin. Third and finally, I think it would be wise, since this is your first time in the room, to devote a little bit of time to just getting to know each other. And so there's lots of great bonding activities out there. It's something as simple as going around and sharing your name and your school and your favorite sport or ice cream or color or whatever. Just a way to kind of start building a relationship with those kids. Well, I know this has been a lot of information for you, but I hope that this has been helpful. So if you have any questions about what you're supposed to do, what you need to know, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm praying for you guys. I'm excited to see how the Lord uses you all this week. God bless you guys.